Harihi Om Sadashivasamaramabham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Sishyatma Samarpan Karpanya Dosho Upahata Swabhavaha Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sammuda Chetaha Yashreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. Om. So we are in the fourth shloka of the third chapter. We were looking at the analysis of it, and we stopped at the word siddhi. The shloka goes like this: Na karmana manarambat Naiṣkarmyam purushošnute na cha sandhyasanad eva siddhim samadhigacchati. So here Bhagwan had started because Arjuna had said, I'm not going to fight. So Bhagwan is saying, the first thing is, na karmanam anarambat. Just because you don't initiate to take an action, you don't attain the position of a Naiṣkarmi, of one who has let go of all the karma. And similarly, just because one person has taken up the sannyas, it does not mean he has attained the siddhi. The term siddhi is a little complex one. Accomplishment is a simple way of putting siddhi. One who is extremely accomplished is called as siddhi. When you look at the siddhi, it can be at the laukikam, it can be at the manasam, or it can be at the atma level. So in laukikam, it can even be, the ability to speak, an ability to, play cricket in an excellent way, right? Being outstanding in anything, that can be called as a siddhim prapti. In the manasam level, we talk about this Aṣṭa Siddhi. When we did our Vishnu Sahasranama, we went through all of these 8 siddhis. To touch upon them, first is called as anima, minutization, the power to reduce one's body to the size of even an atom or a particle. If you remember, our Hanumanji, when he went, he very easily went through the mouth and came out in a very little form. He was able to reduce his size. And there are instances where he has grown his size to a very, very large one as well. Right? This ability to reduce one's body into a very small particle size. It need not be atomic, as it is being said here in the slide. It is, even if in case from your size, if you are able to reduce yourself into it. That is anima. In that, the siddhi is where you have an absolute control of how much you can reduce your size. In tantric world, they are also called as one who is even able to pass through the solid matters or become invisible. Right? So that is the ability that one can gain through yoga siddhi. And that is what is the anima. The second one is mahima. This is magnification, the opposite of it, the power to expand one's body to an enormous cosmic size. Vamana avatar, for example. Right? So it allows the user to witness the universe on a grand scale or physically over vast areas. I do not know how true this one is. I have heard of it, where it is said that, in the Ursa Major or Saptarishi Mandal, the 7 stars that you see in the form of a question mark, The last star in that is a twin star. Arundhati is the name that we are known to by calling it as well. That twin star, what do you say? They rotate one another, like, it just kind of goes one over the other, like this it goes, is what they say. And this is declared in ancient times when we didn't even have telescopes and stuff like that. But it seems that is a truth. This kind of ability to be able to reach a place without leaving this place, right? By becoming big, that is called as magnification. So it allows the user to witness the universe on a grand scale or physically cover vast areas. Then garima, becoming very heavy, the power to infinitely increase the mass in you, increase the density in you. It can make their body as unmovable as mountain, making it impossible for any force to lift or budge them. That is the garima. Then lagima is the lightness, the power to become weightless, lighter than a feather or air. This ability enables walking on water, traveling swiftly on the sunbeams or with the wind currents and so on and so forth. Again, these are all Yoga Shakti. So we have seen 4 of the Aṣṭa Siddhi. The 5th one is Prapti, right? The power to instantly access any place, object, or dimension, right? They can reach out and touch the moon. They can teleport across space. They can acquire an object from anywhere in the world instantly. So that kind of an ability is Prapti. Then prakamyam is irresistible will, the power to realize any desire instantly or to experience anything without any restriction, right? Ability to breathe underwater, live underground for very long duration of time, adapt to any environment. And all these things are prakamyam. 7th and 8th one, Ishitvam, is lordship, the absolute power of creation, preservation, and destruction over nature. Gains a divine control over the elements, the weather, and both living and non-living things. That is what is Ishitvam. This we have seen in lot of asuras when they do their tapasya and gain various var. Then Vashitvam, it's the control, the power to bring anyone or anything under one's influence or control. This is allowed to even tame wild animals, calm the angry minds, command the thoughts or actions of others, and so on. Now, in Yoga Sutra, these siddhis are mentioned with a warning that this should not be your ultimate goal. And this goes with our darshana as well, in which Acharya has beautifully presented it as Jnana Yoga Yogyatha, Antahkarana Shuddhi. When you are not having that Shuddhi, what you will do is when you attain this Siddhi, like an ability to read somebody's mind, an ability to talk to the birds, right? These are all Siddhi. Now, they start advertising, means they hold themselves and they stop further extending their ability. So they once again get within the karmic cycle. That Siddhi Prapti should be a phalam. It should be a result of something, of the effort that you put. And the effort that you put should be towards the God. Now, what has happened is the Siddhi was a station in between, and you got down in that station, which means you have not reached God. We started with an objective of going to Delhi. I'm reaching Nagpur and I'm getting down. That means I'm not going to be able to reach Delhi. As simple as that. So that is the downside of the Siddhi. And the Siddhi Prapti is something that people try to do for getting the Siddhi or as a phalam of their prayatnam towards liberation, towards moksham. Nacha sanyasanad eva, just because a person has attained a sannyasa, one cannot say that he has attained the siddhi. Because we are talking about Atmagyan, particularly in the second chapter, that is where we were, the siddhi herein will refer to jnana yoga, jnana praptihi, or the end of jnana, Atmajnana praptihi. It is not even prapti, you don't attain it. It is a realization, right? So this Atmajnana attainment is our objective. That siddhi one will not attain. The reason I mentioned this Aṣṭa Siddhi is also to say that just because a person has taken a sannyas, even this Aṣṭa Siddhi, which is the Nagpur in the example we took, that would not have been possible to attain. So the achievement of Siddhi is not possible just because one has taken up sannyas. So now going into the shloka, mere renunciation of action, na karmanam anarambhat, does not lead you to brahmi sthitihi, Naiṣkarmyam purushaha ashnute. And also, merely taking up the lifestyle of a sannyasi, nacha sannyasad eva, one attains the qualification to receive the Atmagyan, siddhim samadhi gacchati. So herein, what I wanted to say is, forget attaining Atmagyan. Even qualification to receive Atmagyan, one has not attained. So just because I have taken a sannyas, it doesn't mean I have qualified myself, I have prepared myself. The antakarana shuddhi has taken place for me to be able to receive the Atmagyan. The path to liberation, it is neither the renunciation of your swadharma nor taking up the life of a saint. It is the result of taking up karma yoga and jnana yoga. Karma yoga for jnana yoga yogyatha and jnana yoga for identifying the self through the reflection of yours in your own mind, and the jnana nishtha, the brahmi sthiti, through the realization of the atma swarupam, which is the original Atma Swarupam, not the Chitabhasa Amsam, which a guru can show you, which a guru can help you in identifying. So, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga is something that you can go with some guidance. That Jnana Nishtha, the last mile, is something that you have to travel by yourself. In Bhashyam, Acharya says, na karmanam anarambhat, not merely avoiding the commencement, anarambha, of action, karmanam, such as sacrifices and duties, whether in this life or the previous life. This is what Acharya adds. Iha janmani, janmantareva. Right? So it doesn't matter where does one attain the goal. For when properly performed, these actions become the means for exhaustion of sins. And Acharya puts it as durita kshaya, purification of the mind, chitta shuddhi, and ultimately through the rise of knowledge, jnana utpattihi, the foundation for steadfastness in knowledge, jnana nishtha, is created. Hence, it is said, knowledge arises in people through the destruction of sin caused by karma. Here, the quote is from Shanti Parva. I have put here Bhagavan is quoting, that is wrong. Here, Acharya is quoting from Shanti Parva. And this is a nice section in which Bhishma Pitama explains the spiritual path to Yudhishthira. In fact, this is one of the largest of the Parvas in Mahabharata. This comes in the moksha dharma concept of the Shanti Parva. Bhishma Pitama puts it as righteous action, the karma, purification of the mind, destruction of the accumulated papam, impurities, sins, then the rise of knowledge, which is the jnana, and liberation, which is moksha. Right? It goes like jnanam utpadyate pumsam kshayat papasya karmanah. Knowledge arises in a person through the destruction of sins brought about by karma. This is the thing that Shankaracharya is quoting. Acharya is emphasizing that karma cannot be the direct means to liberation, but it forms the basis for preparing one's mind for Atmajnana. Now, continuing the Bhashyam, Naiṣkarmyam, Nishkriya Bhavam, right? The state of being free from action, being devoid of karma, developing that steadfastness in Jnana Yoga, abiding in the form of actionless self. This is the meaning. The person does not attain, does not reach. This is the meaning again. Ityartha. From the statement, one does not attain Naiṣkarmya by non-commencement of actions. Its opposite value is also understood, that one attains Naiṣkarmya by their commencement. But then, for what reason, kasmat punaha, does one not attain Naiṣkarmya by non-commencement of action? It is said, because karma itself is the means to Naiṣkarmya. Indeed, there is no attainment of the goal without the means. And the Karma Yoga is the means to Jnana Yoga, which is characterized by Naiṣkarmya. This is established both in the Shruti as well as here in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the way that Acharya has put it. A nice way to look at it. One doesn't attain Naiṣkarmya by non-commencement of action, which also means one attains Naiṣkarmya through the commencement of the action. So that is the way that he puts it. What does Bhagavan say? Na karmanam anarambhat. Without the commencement of the action, Naiṣkarmyam purushaha ashnute. The purushaha attains Naiṣkarmya. So here very clearly, Bhagavan only states this. Based on this, Acharya has derived, and then he is giving the subtle meaning behind it to say that the karma arambham is the basis for the karma yoga, and that karma yoga goes into chitta shuddhi, which leads you towards the atmajnana. And that is what both the Shruti as well as Bhagavad Gita states is the way Acharya concludes here. For Shruti, he takes the quote from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In the Shruti, the means to knowing the self, which is the subject of inquiry, is stated thus. Brahmanas seek to know this through Vedic recitation, sacrifices, etc. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Both are coming as part of the teaching of Yajnavalkya to King Janaka. The first one, Tametam Vedanavachanena, that is the way it goes. The term Vividhi Shanti is important. In sannyas, there are two terms used. One is called as Vidvat and another is called as Vividisha. One who has attained the knowledge and then takes up the sannyas, like what happens with Yajnavalkya. And the other where one takes up the sannyas in pursuit of attaining the knowledge. Like if in case I take up sannyas today, it will not be Vidvat, it will be Vividisha. That difference will be what is being quoted here. So here, Yajnavalkya explains that Vedic rituals and disciplines are not the final goal by themselves. Rather, they become preparations for the Vividisha, the desire to know the Brahman. The second quote that Acharya gives is Etameva Viditva Munir Bhavati. Having known this very self alone, one becomes the Muni, a sage. The key is eva. He is putting an emphasis there, saying only through this knowledge does one become Munihi. Iha apicha. So here, Shankaracharya quotes 3 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. iha apicha, here also. Very beautiful one. It comes in the 5th chapter, 6th shloka. Sannyāsastu mahābhāho dukkhamāptumayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma nachirenādhigacchati. The next one is yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. 5th chapter, 11th shloka. Right. And also he goes into the 18th chapter and the 5th shloka. Yajño dhana tapah karma nathyajyam karyameva tat. Yajño dhanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. So here very clearly Bhagavan is saying, right, these are all the things that helps you in purifying yourself. So the karma's role is always purification of the mind. Liberation, the moksham, is only through the attainment of the knowledge, with the realization of the knowledge. Knowing that this is what it is very easy, because it is the buddhi, right? Aham brahmasmi, done. But that is not something that is getting into me as a knowledge. There is some big resistance in between, right? All these classes are means to reduce this resistance so that this information that you have, aham brahmasmi, becomes your atma swarupam. That is the purpose of our exercises in Vedanta. So here, Acharya says, but in passages such as having given fearlessness to all beings, one should practice Naiṣkarmya. A sannyasi takes a promise of giving fearlessness. So if I am to take a sannyas, there are a few steps that we do. One is, first, we have to do the kriya for ourselves. Next, we have to declare to the world that do not be afraid of me. I have not come here to give any harm to anybody. Then I have to also give that fearlessness to Indra, saying that, hey, even my tapaha is not going to be for your simhasan, for your asan. Right? So giving that fearlessness is part of taking up that particular sannyas. That is what is being quoted here. The attainment of Naiṣkarmya is shown even through renunciation of obligatory actions. Even in the common understanding, it is very well known that Naiṣkarmya comes from non-commencement of action. Therefore, for one who seeks Naiṣkarmya, what is the need for commencement of karma? This is the basic objection that is being raised. Okay, don't see it as a value, but it is more as a thing being raised. There are several practices can be seen, practiced based on Dharma Shastras or Sannyasa traditions, giving abhaya to all the being, relinquishing ritual fire, Agnityagaha, giving up Vedic household duties, renouncing social identity and possessions. There are so many things that we do. Basically, one becoming dead to worldly obligation while being physically alive. The giving up of Agni signifies that a sannyasi internalizes the fire called as Jnana Agni. Upanishads glorifies them as having crossed the ritual obligation and those who have transcended even the devas, including the Indra. No, nor by renunciation alone. That is not even by mere renunciation alone. By the mere abandonment of karma without knowledge does one attain the perfection characterized by Naiṣkarmya. The steadfastness in Jnana Yoga, one does not reach it. Then he goes into the 5th shloka. For what reason does a person not attain the perfection characterized by Naiṣkarmya merely by the renunciation of karma without knowledge? So in anticipation of this, hetu is the word that Acharya has used. He says, and goes to the 5th shloka. The 5th shloka goes like this. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate yavashah karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. So this is something that we all know it very well. Let us look at it the word by word. Nahi, that is Hindi nahi only. Never, for sure, definitely. Kaschit kshanamapi. Kaschit is anyone, anything. Kshanam is second. Api, even for the minutest of the moment, nothing ever goes without being engaged. Jatu, that is the place where it comes, used with na jatu, to mean never at any time. Tishtatya karma krita. Tishtati akarma krita. Tishtati means remains, and akarma krita, without performing an action. So together the first line declares that nothing ever at any time, even for a moment, remains in a state without performing an action. You know that when you are in deep sleep also, your body is fully functional. Right? Similarly, at all times, it is the nature of the Prakriti to be constantly changing. The change is what we call as function, is called as karma. So this is going to constantly happen everywhere. It is the basic nature of the Prakriti. Karyate. How is it happening? They are made to. He avashaha. Without control on oneself. मैं आपको वश में कर लेता हूं. Right? Taking one under control. Avashaha. Without having a control. Karma goes with karyate. Karyate karma are made to engage in action. Sarvaha, all. Prakriti jaihi gunaihi. All that are born from the guns of the Prakriti. Prakriti has got the three guns, Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas. All the elements are from these particular three fundamental forces only. These fundamental forces are the basis for every element, including Akasha. Right? So all the Panchabhutas are taken from this. And any body that you take is also taken from this. At the Sukshma Avastha, the Manaha, Buddhi, Chittam, all these things are also part of the Prakriti. And hence you can see that they also constantly undergo this change. So whenever you see the influences of gun affecting something, you can very clearly determine that that aspect is born out of the Prakriti. What remains outside of it is the Atma. That Atma, the soul, remains the same without any change, depletion, or any division. It is Ekatvam, it is Samatvam. Everything that we have spoken about Atma Gyan exactly puts that into perspective. So other than that, everything is born out of Prakriti, and everything will be under the influence of the gun, and therefore they will be subject to constant change. So a direct meaning is not even for a moment, a second, one can go without being engaged in action. One is impelled to act with no control on oneself for all that which are born out of the three guns of Prakriti. That is what is the direct meaning of this shloka. There are some alternate interpretations that attaches the action to that which is born out of Prakriti. Action is born out of Prakriti. This is just a minor change, but eventually it means the change. It means the same. Okay, so instead of saying the bodies are born out of the Prakriti, they put the actions are born out of the Prakriti. And bodies are mere manifestations. The bodies which are born from Prakriti are impelled into action influenced by the three gun, or the actions that emanate are influenced by the three guns, and they happen with no control of the Jivan. So that is the basic meaning of the shloka. The Lakshyartham is defined in three different ways. We have always told about it, right? What is a Lakshyartham, what is a Bhavanartham, and what is a Vachyartham. The sentence as is directly carries a meaning. It carries a specific emotion. It carries an objective. So all these three are to be taken into consideration. The best example that we give from Upanishad is where Nachiketa's father tells Nachiketa, or Nachiketa, he kind of troubles his father and says, "Whom are you giving me to? Whom are we giving me to?" Right? And at one point, the father gets very irritated and says, "I'll give you to Yamadharmaraja, go." What is the Vachyartham? That I have given you to Yamadharmaraja. What is Bhavanartham? Don't disturb me. Come on, you are irritating me. What is Lakshyartham? For him to not disturb me. That is the Lakshya. Right? So that is the way that one should understand the sentence or understand the subject at all times. Here, the Lakshyartham itself is defined in 3 ways. In relation to the context set forth by the previous shloka. Why is it that Naiṣkarmya Siddhi, attainment of the non-doership, is not possible by renouncing action? Because you cannot renounce the action. You are forced into action by the guns of Prakriti. So renouncing action is not possible. Therefore, non-doership is the removal of the aham bhava, the doership behind an action, not abandoning the action itself. That is the first sense. In relation to jnani versus ajnani, the realized soul versus a commoner man associates the I to the body, the stula sukshma karana sharir. That is what he says, I am. This makes the common man to become one who is identified as born of the Prakriti. Now, this leads to the natural Upadesha, as in, because you have Abhiman in the Sharir, you are bound to act. The path to elevation, therefore, is to engage in Karma Yoga and remove that Abhiman from the Sharir with Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and pursue the path of Jnana for liberation. So this is what is applicable to most of us. This is the second way to interpret it. Instead of looking at it as Naiṣkarmya Siddhi, the previous shloka, here we are directly looking at it between Jnani and Ajnani. The third one is being engaged in action is applicable to all, be it Jnani or Ajnani. However, since Jnani has the Abhiman in Atma and not the Anatma, his Karta Bhavam is absent. Why the Karta Bhavam is absent? An Atma is Akarta. Atma is na kartirtvam na karmani. Is the way that will come in the future shlokas. It neither does nor makes something to do. Atma is a witness swarupam. It is a mere witness to everything. It is an enabler and a witness to everything. Right? So because Jnani has developed that witness of everything that is happening around, not impacted by anything, asakta buddhihi, because he has developed that, right? The anatma, his karta bhavam is absent. The anatma is working. Bhagwan will later say, guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate, is the way that Bhagwan will say later too. So it is just the guns are interacting with themselves. The karta bhavam is fully absent. Very similar to the previous observation, except that this one is from an observer's point of view, while the previous one is from the self point of view. Right? So kind of the same, but in tradition we say like there are 3 ways that this has been interpreted, and that is what I'm trying to bring it to you here. Karyate hi avashah karma. I think we can take a break here and maybe connect back in our next week to start from here. Karyate hi avashah. Certainly, for sure. Karyate. Avashah karma. There is no vash, there is no control over it. And this is a very critical thing to understand. So we will reserve it for our next week's class. So let us start with Prabhakar Bhaiya. Namaskar.
No questions, just reflecting on that. This one, how frequently we get carried away by the Vata, this one, word meanings, instead of taking a pause and thinking of the intention and the emotion, if I can use this set of words, that Varta, Varta, Bhavam, and
Karta Bhavam. Are you talking about that?
when we speak the three things, taking the literal word meaning, or taking going
Oh,
behind the emotion, or the intention behind it. In the
correct.
Nachiketa example.
Correct. It is Vachyartham.
Vacha.
Vachyartham is Vakyam plus Artham. When
Hmm.
it is put together, it becomes Ich. The Ik
Hmm.
will become Ich, Vachyartham. The second one is Bhavanartham, Bhavana, the expression behind it. Then the third one is Lakshyartham or Tattvartham. Mostly it is Lakshyartham that is used, but I have also seen people who use the Tattvartham for the same thing. Tattvam is that is the true meaning, right? That as is. Right? So
This
getting that.
sounds so simple, but we are not even able to exercise this until this.
This comes after we have practiced on the three satta. Sattatraya vibhagam is one thing that we call. The pratibhasika sat, vyavaharika sat, and paramarthika sat. Individual reality, transactional reality, and absolute reality. Once you understand this, then attributing the artham in the right context becomes very easy. It just naturally flows into you. So the seed for these three divisions, Vachyartham, Bhavanartham, and Tattvartham or Lakshyartham, for this, the seed is the previous one, which is Satta Traya Vibhagam or Vivekam. We will do a lot on the Sattatraya Vibhagam, actually. I will search for this audio file from Vishnu Sahasranama, where I think I did a very elaborate one, and one of the students from Nana Nani homes, right, call him Anna, but a pretty elderly man, right? And he was even asking me to give a transcription of it. I couldn't get it to be transcribed, so I couldn't give it to him. But yeah, it was like very deep analysis was done. If I get that recording, I will pass it on to you.
Namaskar, Guruji.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much for commenting on the video on the chat. I do have a question, Guruji, more
Sure.
about related to a word called capability. A person's capability, sometimes thinking about Arjuna, what capabilities he has to go do, participate in the war, what the limitations you will be conscious about it. Just thinking about it, that capability for Arjuna, what he has is different than other people have the capability, right?
That is a place where, I kind of,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting area.
Mm,
The place where you are, I think your
mm.
capability is apt
Act. Okay. Okay.
at all times, even
Yeah.
for Arjuna. But
Right.
when I say apt, the
Mm,
problem is the self who acts as a karta is not comfortable, is overconfident, or
mm,
is comfortable from time to time upon his or her own capabilities. So Arjuna, though from a commoner's point of view, is highly capable. It is you and I, or it is basically the samsari who compares.
okay.
Arjuna might have gone through his own ups and downs. Had he been absolutely confident about his capabilities, he might not have taken up the sannyas during the Vanaprastha to go to Indralok and get the divine astras that he got. It is nothing more than getting more training. At Arjuna's level, he still feels that he is less capable or more capable kind of a stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
At Arjuna's level, he was still finding it difficult to fight with Bhishma. Right? So that is when Krishna had to devise the plan. That capability, when we compare ours with that of theirs, it is immaterial who, then the tarathamyam will naturally arise. We need to realize that a karta is capable of performing that karma, but the karta in itself is not aware of it, whether he is capable of doing that karma or not. That karta will continue to exercise to develop his capabilities, but the observer will continue to match, mismatch, etc. Did I answer your question?
The last part, Guruji, a little bit of clarification. So karta will do the act, and then observer, who is the observer?
No, it is only an observer
Self,
in
self.
this. No, in this context is a third party which has no relevance.
Okay. Yep.
Right. And this may even include a manager who has a relevance, but he
Right.
also is an
Right.
observer. The truth of the matter is the karta is capable of doing this karma, right? But an observer can have an opinion, and it can have an impact or not an impact. The opportunity may come, may not come, etc. The capability gap will always be there in a karta. In a jnani, there will not be any capability gap because he is not attached to the karma.
Got it, Guruji. That is the part I was thinking more. When
Yeah.
doing the act, not connected emotionally or physically to that karma, then he does not, or she does not needs to think about even a capability.
Correct.
Yeah. Got it, Guruji.
And I will correct your English there. It is not need not. He will not. Being in that
Will
realized
not. Okay.
state, he will not. It doesn't even occur, right? So if there is a possibility,
Yeah, for a
if there is an
jnani, yes.
option, I would say need not or cannot, and so on.
Got it.
There is no purpose at all. It doesn't even
Not a
come.
question.
Yeah, it is not a question.
Got it, Guruji. Yep,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's how the thinking should be also, or thought should be strong on the act.
Thinking is another karma. And
Okay.
what you
Okay.
said is you have that capability to do so, but as soon
Okay.
as you become, I am the thinker, you will start finding taratamyam in your capability.
That'll
When you
come
elevate
connected to
yourself
the
beyond it, it
karma.
becomes
Yeah.
natural.
Okay. Good one, Guruji. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Hari Bhaiya. This part of the discussion, I know.
Yeah.
We keep comparing, like, I'm sorry, that we find more of people incompetent being placed over us, and etc. etc. All the time there is an imbalance between
Yeah,
what we expect and what we see.
that's right. Yeah.
Our problem is our very vision needs to be corrected, is what I understand here. Like in Yani, we should start watching them. Correct me, Guruji. Like in Yani, we should watch them with a balanced mind, thinking that they are there because they are capable, and we are here because we are capable.
You are very correct. And that term of there and here should vanish.
Oh, wonderful. There is no
Right. So
boundary.
when at Ajnani level, there will be here and there. In a Jnani level, there is no here and there. Yeah. Karyate hi avashaha karma. What you are seeing in front of you. Yes.
This is good, Guruji. Because
Thank
time to
you.
time, you always think about the capability can be extended, capability can be, increased. Now I understood. It's, of course, the training and the practice too, right? To the act. Yeah.
Correct. And remember one thing, it is only applicable to karta. I know what is the position that you are in at an organizational level. It is different. As a leader, you defining the capability required for the organization to perform independent of the karta.
Mm.
When I say independent of, I'm not saying without them, with no dependence on them.
Makes sense, Guruji.
In that sense, the measurement of the capability becomes inevitable. It becomes important, driven by the objective, not by the resource. Well, at this point, I will take leave
It's a good
and
one.
we will
Thank you,
connect
Guruji.
again. Yeah, we'll connect again in our next week. Next week, there will not be any class. Next week is the Trayodash, which is the 13th day, and I will be in Las Vegas. At 6:30, I will be flying back. I will be in the aircraft. Otherwise, I would have taken the class from there itself. But because I'm mid-air, I may not be able to take the class. So we will have to cancel it for next week.
I missed to mention, thank you so much, Guruji. You are allocating time for this between all of this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Personal disturbances and how much pain family is going through.
Yeah, he was 67, young actually. So Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.